Okay, so is the traditional college essay dead? I know, that sounds a bit dramatic, right? But honestly, it's a very real, very provocative question that every single academic educator is being forced to wrestle with right now. I mean, for decades, we've relied on the essay, the standard multiple choice test, the final written product as our absolute gold standard for measuring what a student actually knows. But what happens to higher education when a machine can flawlessly replicate that exact product in a matter of seconds? Today, we're taking a hard look at this massive disruption to our most heavily relied upon assessment methods, and more importantly, we're going to map out exactly what comes next for you in your day-to-day teaching.
Let's just call it what it is. We are officially in an assessment crisis. Generative AI has effectively bulldozed right through the traditional walls of high-stakes testing because, well, those tests only evaluate the final written product. Now, the instinctive reaction from a lot of institutions has been to try and build a new wall, right? AI detection software. But guys, relying on AI text detectors is a complete illusion. It is an exhausting, unwinnable arms race for us as educators. They throw false positives left and right, they disproportionately flag non-native English speakers, and honestly, a student with advanced prompting skills can bypass them easily. And to make matters worse, relying on unmonitored take-home exams creates this massive inequity. You've got students stuck on free AI tiers competing against those who can afford unrestricted, paid, advanced models. The old way of testing, it's fundamentally broken.
So, welcome to our deep dive into the foundations of artificial intelligence in higher education. I am genuinely pumped to unpack this material with you today because we aren't just going to sit here and admire the problem, we are going to build a highly actionable roadmap. Our focus today is strictly on practical application. We want to take you from feeling that low-level AI anxiety to actually mastering this tech as an everyday pedagogical tool. It's really about empowering you to take the reins and make this technology work for your classroom, not against it.
Here is our game plan for today. First, the academic assessment crisis. Second, using AI as your co-pilot. Third, scaling Socratic tutoring. Fourth, designing AI-resilient assessments. And finally, evolving our roles as educators.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the academic assessment crisis.
Look, generative AI isn't just a shiny new trend. It's a general-purpose technology that's forcing a top-to-bottom rethink of higher ed. But to actually adapt to it, we really need to get under the hood and demystify what's mechanically happening. Large language models, or LLMs, are not sentient. They aren't flipping through some neat internal encyclopedia of facts to answer a prompt. Instead, they operate on something called token prediction. Think about the phrase, "the mitochondria is the." The AI calculates that the word powerhouse has, say, a 98% probability of coming next based on its training data. It's utilizing statistical patterns to predict the next word sequence. It's essentially the world's most confident, sophisticated autocomplete. Now, because it prioritizes these probable sequences, it is incredibly good at mimicking an authoritative academic tone. But, and here is the absolute critical takeaway for us, fluency does not equal correctness. AI completely lacks true comprehension, which makes it highly vulnerable to fluent fabrications or hallucinations. And this is exactly why your academic oversight is mandatory. You literally cannot leave an AI to teach or grade on its own.
Moving right along to Section 2, AI as the educator's co-pilot.
So, shifting gears from the crisis to the practical solutions, we need to look at the stark contrast between how we shouldn't use AI and how we absolutely must use it. This is all about your daily workflow as a faculty member. On one extreme, you have the autopilot approach. This is super high risk and, frankly, a dereliction of academic duty. We're talking fully automated grading without human oversight, or having the AI spit out entire unedited syllabi. Bad idea. But on the flip side, we have the co-pilot approach. This is high-value pedagogical augmentation. Imagine using AI to knock out 5 different variations of a quiz in minutes to prevent cheating, or using it to build the initial structural framework for a complex grading rubric. Or what about having it adjust the reading level of a dense case study so it's more accessible to a diverse group of learners? That is practical, everyday utility that actually helps you.
And why does this matter so much? Well, the ultimate goal of this co-pilot model isn't just to turn you into a more efficient administrator. The real magic here is that the co-pilot returns your time. By offloading those routine, administrative, heavy-lifting tasks, you're buying back precious hours. Hours that you can now reinvest into what actually matters: direct student mentorship, highly personalized feedback, and actual, meaningful human connection in your classroom.
Which brings us to Section 3, scaling Socratic tutoring.
Okay, so we've freed up your prep time, but how do we use AI directly with the students? The answer is using it to actively elevate their cognition. Think about the difference between old technology and new AI in the hands of a learner. With a standard search engine, a student types a query and just retrieves information. The cognitive load is incredibly low because they are outsourcing all their thinking to the machine, which leads to really shallow understanding. But a dialogue-based tutoring system, a Socratic AI coach, flips that entirely. When a student asks a question, the AI uses Socratic prompting. It asks a guiding question back. It outright refuses to just hand over the correct answer. So the cognitive load remains high because the AI is acting as a sparring partner, co-creating the explanation with the student. The result? Deep conceptual mastery. You are essentially scaling your own expertise by giving every single student a tireless 24/7 tutor.
Next up, Section 4, Designing AI-Resilient Assessments.
This is the big one. If AI can fluently write a standard essay and ace Socratic questions, how on earth do we redesign our grading? The source material gives us a brilliant, actionable 3-step checklist to update your syllabus right now. Step 1, process evaluation. We have to stop grading just the final submitted product. Instead, grade their prompt engineering drafts, their iterations, and their written reflections on their own methodology. Grade how they arrived at the answer. Step 2, authentic application. Generic summary questions are completely dead. We need to require hyperlocal or highly contextual problem solving. Force students to integrate local data or reference a discussion you literally just had in class yesterday, things the AI hasn't been trained on. And step 3, critical evaluation. Completely flip the script. Hand the students AI-generated text and force them to act as the editor. Make them critique its accuracy, hunt down its hallucinations, and expose its algorithmic flaws.
You see, this is a total paradigm shift. The old way relied heavily on decontextualized tasks and this impossible-to-enforce idea of AI prohibition. But this new paradigm completely embraces authentic application. Banning AI completely, it's just not going to work. Making this practical shift toward process-focused assessment is absolutely essential if we want our academic degrees to actually mean anything in the modern workforce.
And finally, Section 5, Evolving Educator Roles.
Because look, behind all these new tools and syllabus tactics, there's a very real human anxiety about teacher replacement. We need to redefine your core value as an academic. For centuries, the academic was the sage on the stage, right? You were the single source of truth, heavily focused on basic knowledge transmission and routine testing. But in this AI-era paradigm, you become the guide on the side. You are now the orchestrator of learning. Your job shifts heavily toward epistemological guidance, meaning teaching students how we actually know what we know. You get to focus on process-based mentorship and facilitating complex critical thinking. You're no longer just delivering content, you are guiding students through a massive ocean of synthesized information.
I really love thinking about this evolution like a tree. As artificial intelligence inevitably takes over the heavy lifting of basic, structured knowledge transmission at the roots, the intrinsic value of the human educator actually shifts upwards into the canopy. You are elevated. The deeply human elements of teaching, the social engagement, the empathetic mentorship, the moral reasoning, and the synthesis of super complex, ambiguous problems, those become the absolutely irreplaceable core of the academic experience. The algorithm is just the scaffolding, guys. You remain the architect.
Which leaves us with one final, absolutely critical question to ask ourselves as we step into this new landscape. Are you ready to hand over the routine so you can return to the relationship? By embracing AI not as a threat, but as a highly capable co-pilot, we can strip away all that administrative friction that bogs us down, we can redesign our assessments to be genuinely meaningful again, and most importantly, we can get back to the deeply human, transformative mentorship that brought us all to higher education in the first place. The tools are right here. The practical applications are crystal clear. The next step is simply yours to take.